Hello and welcome to your guide to answering the 4 and 6 mark questions for the drama written exam. Before I talk about that, I want to alert you to the words of the week. We're going to be doing this every week and we are asking you to fill in the gaps to these 5 words. Now the theme this week is performance skills. So each of these 5 words, which have missing letters, are something to do with either your vocality or your physicality. If you get 3 correct, you get 1 house point. And if you get 5 correct, you get 3 house points. We all love house points. So the 4 and 6 mark question, here we go. 4 mark question. You need to write 2 paragraphs using the page paragraph structure. You've been working on this over the last couple of weeks, so you know that the page structure is making your point, backing that up with evidence, explaining the skill you're going to use, and then justifying what that would communicate to the audience. The question is going to ask you to focus on either vocality or physicality. So you only write about 1. And there are 2 marks per paragraph, hence 4 marks in total. The 6 mark question is exactly the same as the 4 mark question, except for 2 differences. The first is that you have to write 3 paragraphs instead of 2, hence 2 marks per paragraph, 3 paragraphs, 6 mark question, quick maths. The second difference is that the question will ask you to talk about both physicality and vocality. These are what we call performance skills. You can choose when you're answering the question whether you want to write 2 paragraphs about vocality and 1 about physicality, or the other way around. It's up to you. So this week you're going to be answering the questions about beautiful burnout. So the first 2 4 mark and 6 markers are about Steve George, the referee, and then there's another 4 mark and 6 mark question about Carlotta, the mum. This video is going to talk about Steve George, and then you can apply what I'm saying to the Carlotta question. So here we have Steve George takes pride in his referee skills. Explain 2 ways that you would use vocal skills to show this. So we know that this question is essentially asking us to show that we know how to show pride, being proud of yourself, through vocal skills. We as actors understand how to communicate that to our audience. So if we have a little look at the extract, here we have Steve's monologue. We're looking for lines that we think perfectly show his sense of pride, or that we could manipulate through our vocal skills to show that pride. So there are absolutely loads of lines in this that you could choose from. He's refereeing impeccably. Even him saying the word Steve George, saying his name, if done using the right skills, could show that he's really proud of his name and he's proud of who he is. Everyone's safe in the hands of this man could be used to show that he thinks that if you're a boxer in his match, then you're safe. I'm going to have a little look at the line, this seasoned professional, which I think provides a little bit of opportunity to show pride. Seasoned means he's been doing it a long time. He knows what he's doing. So we go back to the question, and in an exam, the first thing you would do is you'd highlight the key words so that when you look at the question, you instantly know what you need to do. So pride, we've talked about, is something to be aware of when answering the question. Vocal skills, worth circling so that we don't start talking about physical skills. And 2 ways. We remember that we need to give 2 examples, 2 paragraphs when answering this question. So we look at our vocal skills list and we select the skill that we think we can use to best show pride on the line that we've chosen. So I chose the line, this seasoned professional, and I think I'm going to use emphasis and articulation to demonstrate his pride here. So I think I'd probably say something like, I would place emphasis on the word seasoned and over-articulate the word to demonstrate his pride. So those are the two that I'd go for. You can go for two, you can go for one. It's completely up to you. But I thought articulation and emphasis worked quite well together in that instance. So that would be one answer. One paragraph would be placing emphasis on the word seasoned and over to articulating the word to show his pride. That would be my explanation of my vocal skills. But you can choose a different example if you'd like. You could also use tone. I've highlighted haughty tone here as this suits the idea of being proud of yourself. Haughty means that you think you're better than everyone else, and pride and arrogance are quite similar traits. So I'm going to talk you through how you would answer the 4 marker. This is one paragraph here, so you would need to do this process twice. So the first thing is your point. Your point is that he's a proud man. That is said in the question. So you could write something along the lines of, Steve George is a confident referee who takes pride in his work. And you can see him there. He looks pretty proud, maybe shocked, but this isn't a direct representation. Then you go on to your second sentence, which is your evidence. That's your quote. So I've picked the quote, this seasoned professional. So I might say, this is evident from the line, this seasoned professional. And I would place the quote in quotation marks. I'm then going to choose my drama skill and explain how I'd use it. So my next sentence you've heard before would be, I would place emphasis on the word seasoned and over-articulate the word. And I would place the word seasoned in quotation marks to make it clear that I'm quoting from the text. And finally, I'd move on to my justification. What will this communicate to your audience? And I would say this would demonstrate to the audience that Steve has been in the game a long time and is proud of that fact. So my full paragraph might look something like this. Steve George is a confident referee who takes pride in his work. This is evident from the line, this seasoned professional. I would place emphasis on the word seasoned and over-articulate the word to demonstrate to the audience that Steve has been in the game a long time and is proud of that fact. That would be one paragraph. I would then go back to the beginning for my second paragraph and repeat my point. Now, your point might be the same effectively as your first point, or it might be different. If it's the same, don't repeat word for word the point that you wrote in the first paragraph. You can say something along the lines of, another way of demonstrating Steve George's pride would be to, and then you go into the rest of your sentence. So then you just repeat 2, 3, and 4. If you're saying another way to show his pride, you might want to flip to 3 and 2 round. So you might want to say another way to show Steve George's pride would be to use projection. I would select the line blah and use it in this way, and this would communicate this to the audience. So your second paragraph might play around with the structure a little bit if you're repeating the point that you made in the first paragraph. So the 4 and the 6 marker, you can have the same point or a different point, but the rest should be different to the first paragraph. So you can't use the same quote or the same drama skill for paragraph 1 and paragraph 2. They need to be different. And the same with the 6 marker. You need 3 different quotes, 3 different drama skills, and 3 different justifications. So looking at the 6 marker, you've been asked, Steve George is imagining himself as an exceptional boxing referee. Give 3 examples of how you would use performance skills to show this. So I want us to just have a think about this idea, imagining. This is really important to this question, to remember that Steve George isn't really there. He is actually just imagining himself at this boxing match. So through your vocality and physicality, how can you make it clear to the audience that he is just imagining this? It's not actually happening. So a few examples might include the fact that it's late at night and he's home. We know that from the stage directions. So ask yourself, does he need to speak quietly or with a soft tone in order not to wake up the other people in the house? Another option is it's quite clear from the dialogue that he's pretending to be the commentator of a boxing match. So how does this affect the way that you talk and the way that you move? Thirdly, we know that he's not really at the boxing match, so maybe there's a different energy that goes into the gestures. Maybe he's a bit more half-hearted with it because there's not actually anyone else in the ring with him. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe he goes way over the top because no one else can see him right now. And finally, does he mime anything as a result of being at home rather than at the match? For example, the bell that they sometimes have, the ding, 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 round one kind of thing. Is he miming that kind of thing as a result of being at home rather than at the match? That's another point that you might want to consider. So those are the tips for answering the 4 and 6 mark question. Please don't forget, if you want to answer the words of the week, you can shower yourself in house points like this person here is doing. He seems to be having a great time. And please do get in contact with me if you have any questions about answering the 4 or 6 mark questions. This is the first time you're doing this. You're bound to get some things wrong. That's absolutely fine. Get in contact with me and I can give you a little bit more support. And good luck.